Hey, it's Friday night. It's Tropical Talk Radio. I got a special guest.
Yeah.
Here in the Chalet Day, Dan. All right, let's get started.
Yeah, buddy, you've downloaded Tropical Talk Radio, where we talk about all things entrepreneurship, travel, and lifestyle. If you're interested in more about this program, check out tropicalmba.com. And if you sign up for our mailing list, I will personally send you 50 free podcast episodes that take you along on our journey and expose the insider story on how we started a $1 million honest-to-goodness product business while we traveled the globe.
All right, so I'm here in Hong Kong with my good friend John McIntyre. The last time you were on this program was August. I'm looking at the archives here. It was August 2012. We were in Puerto Galera, and we came on the show to talk about how you increased my opt-in rate by 257% through the Tropical MBA crash course. I think we have thousands of email subscribers from that, so thank you. But your life has changed dramatically. I had no idea you were going to be here in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's not a cheap place to be. You were supposed to be a lifestyle designer. What the hell happened to you? Man, if things have changed. What are you doing here in Hong Kong?
I'm in Hong Kong to start a business, set up a Hong Kong corporation.
And how's it going?
It's all done. We just sent a few more documents off. It's a business partnership. Met the bank yesterday. I had to go back, drop more stuff off. It's pretty much wrapped up.
Okay. So you're doing something 9 months after doing the autoresponder thing that you never would have predicted, for sure.
No, it's funny. It feels natural to be here right now, but 9 months ago, I never would have thought that I would be in Hong Kong to set up a business. That's just weird.
Right. You've been attending conferences.
Yes.
You dropped $1,000 to go to Shramco's event a couple months ago. How was that?
It was fantastic. I wasn't there specifically for the content, though. I was there to meet people.
Right. And what do you think?
100% worth it. No regrets at all. I know we're going in next year.
All right. So here's what we're going to explore on this episode. You did something that most people are incredibly scared to do. And because you did it, I think that's in part why you're seeing a lot of the success that you're seeing right now. Of course, you're one of the most hardworking guys that I know and all that. But I think strategically you made the right move. And here's what you did. After the episode where we talked about the autoresponder and how that's going, you came out and said, go ahead and say it for me.
I am the autoresponder guy.
You said I'm the autoresponder guy, and the reason that nobody wants to say this in their marketing is that they're worried about cutting off opportunities. So what happened in terms, was it tough for you to say you're the autoresponder guy?
No, I don't think it was. It wasn't by the time I got to the stage when I did it, because I think I was ready for it. But I don't know, something happened. I've been studying, I'm always kind of studying marketing and trying to keep learning. And, 9 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to say that and get it. But somewhere along the line, something clicked, and I finally understood that I had to be a guy. And up until that point, I've been doing this different, some marketing consulting training. I've been reading books about positioning. And then the more I thought about it, what's my thing? What's my USP? I'm the marketing guy. What's my USP? Right. So it was kind of like, well, I'm doing autoresponders for clients. It's the main thing I'm doing. I'm doing other stuff as well, but the main thing is autoresponders, so why not be the autoresponder guy? I just had a few things, the email marketing guy, but just the autoresponder guy had a cool ring to it, and that's what I went with.
All right, so there's a couple concepts here. There's the concept of legibility, passibility. So I got to both understand what you do, and I got to be able to pass it on to other people. So we were just talking, I know slews of copywriters, and I'm sure a lot of copywriters are very interested in your story because maybe they run a copywriting agency, maybe made a living for a few years now, but watching you just freaking steam up the charts here. And part of the reason is that it's so passable. I can say, hey, you need a responder sequence. And now I know 30 copywriters, but who am I going to send them to?
Exactly.
And, it doesn't really even matter how good the product is. What matters is that I can pass that along. And it's going to become the best product eventually because it's like a vortex. You're going to suck in everybody who not only wants to get one of these products, but wants to talk about them, wants to analyze them. They're going to look at your shit and tell you what's going on.
Absolutely, man. It's all the experience, too. It just builds up like a huge snowball.
Right. So, we went from writing an autoresponder on my blog to you doing a joint venture with the top autoresponder guy in the world?
Something like that.
He's up there. Can you tell us the story? Can you give us
all right, so...
That's crazy. That happened in what, 6 months?
Something like that, man. Well,
this shit's for real, man. This actually happened.
So you suggested this to me. Was it like 1 year ago, I was just getting involved in the email stuff. You're like, you should talk to Andre and ask him to do a JV with you. And at the time, I said, there is no fucking way that Andre is gonna, I'm just some nobody dude who just started learning how to write copy, right? And I thought that for a long time, but then what happened is around March this year, I love my clients, but I do get sick of my clients. So I was like, well, I got to start doing stuff to build up stuff on the side to get away from it if that's what I really want to do. Yeah. Someone's like, well, let's create a product. Let's start teaching people how to do autoresponders. So I did that, and the natural guy to ask to promote me was Andre. Fortunately, over the last few months before that, I'd send Andre an email every now and then, and I'd ask him for, I think one of the first things I asked Andre for, he's the email marketing guy, one of the biggest guys online, and said, do you know anyone who needs people to write emails for them? Mm-hmm. And so he started recommending me. And that was just one or two simple emails to him. He didn't ask for street cred or anything like that. He's just like, all right, John's cool. He knows how to write emails. Mm-hmm. And he started recommending me to his
You're not
network.
a copywriting consultant. You're not a social media strategist. You're the autoresponder guy.
Exactly.
That's somebody you can pass somebody along to. If I can't give you to the autoresponder guy, who can I give you to?
Exactly.
It's so simple, isn't it?
It's
so hard, though.
It's so simple.
It is uncertain. Tell me about the podcast. You started a freaking podcast. How'd that go?
I
saw the case study in the DC.
Really well.
It's ridiculous.
It's getting I think it's just, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. I don't know which variables are kind of affecting what.
Yeah.
But I'm getting some really interesting and really big guys who is joining the list. And that's probably due to partly Andre, partly the podcast, partly all different things. So it's an email marketing podcast. I'm the autoresponder guy. The site's positioned is all about email marketing, is for the most part. So when anyone thinks of John McIntyre, they think email marketing, and that's becoming more and more and more fused, and that's intentional. The podcast is working.
The podcast is working.
It's working. I love doing it. I love talking like this, man. Getting all weird and fuck.
Was there any major challenges in starting the podcast for you that you had to overcome?
Not really, because I had Benny Kruger with me. I live in Chiang Mai, and I live with Ben, so anytime I had a problem, I would just go to Ben and ask him a question.
Right.
But I think that people complicate this stuff far too much. It's as simple as you can go and get like a step-by-step guide to it's really not that hard. You apply to iTunes, you set up your site, which just needs to be a WordPress blog, and then you just record an MP3 and upload it. It's not that complicated. You don't need a huge freaking ebook to do it. You just got to sit down and do it.
So we were just talking to straight boss man Anthony earlier tonight. We had a little mini DC meetup. And he was talking about iPhone cases. And you were surprised to hear that maybe to start an iPhone case, you might need $75,000 just for one mold on one iPhone case that isn't proven. The marketing equivalent for a solopreneur is coming out and saying, I'm a marketing consultant. Because there's only two currencies or two things that we need to acquire: trust and attention as online marketers. And if you want to get trust and attention as a marketing consultant, and you're just one person with no track record, that's expensive real estate. That's like coming to central Hong Kong with just a credit record and no cash and trying to get an apartment complex. Whereas if you want to get trust and attention as the autoresponder guy, now all of a sudden it's pretty easy to get that piece of real estate.
It's so much easier.
And all of a sudden then, why are these big guys opting onto your list? Well, because 6 months into the autoresponder game, you might even have better information on autoresponders than they do because you've been focused on it for 6 months. Ben probably knows more about podcasting than I do at this point because that's what he focuses on. And I even asked him, you need to be able to answer these kinds of questions for me because you're the man now.
Yeah.
And so now if I have a question about podcasting, I write Ben Kruger an email.
Yeah.
Because I figure he's got what? I don't know how many clients he's got. He's got a bunch. I don't even know if he's editing this podcast. He's probably got minions somewhere in a factory editing it.
Monkeys, man. It's all in Chiang Mai.
Yeah. And that's the craziness. It makes total sense to me that someone who has, you got 12 episodes out now?
11 goes live in 3 hours.
So now all the big guys, they need to know what's happening on the email front. They go to you.
They go to me.
Now, here's the thing. So you're on the cheap real estate, right? The trust and attention as the autoresponder guy, and what everybody worries about is scale. That's why people don't go there, right? Because they're like, eventually, I want to be the marketing guy. I don't want to turn people away. Right. How do you feel about that?
Like a year ago, I think we've had this conversation before back in the Philippines, and back then it was I guess it scared me. I just didn't really get it. I don't know what made it click, what book or what idea that I read, but just the idea that people have a little slot in their brain. If you can occupy a slot in their brain, which is much easier to do when you're niche down as the autoresponder guy, the podcast guy, or a specific type of guy, they'll remember you, they'll recommend you, they know who you are, they're going to go to you for that stuff. But if you're just a general marketing guy, that's a huge slot that you have to fill, and you can't fill it unless you're pretty damn good.
Right.
Once I kind of got that, it wasn't scary. It didn't worry me at all. It seemed like the next natural step. And I was really, and I still am, really freaking excited about doing it.
So this concept that we've been talking, like the seg or the parlay, you could go a million different ways with this thing, right? You went to info products, you did client work, you could be the copywriting sales letter guy now. I mean, you could be a bunch of different, you could start to build out the guy profile, so to speak. But what you decided to do was shut down the whole thing for a few weeks, come here to Hong Kong and start a new business. Talk about a parlay.
I think it's a bit about klout. So like the way to move up in the world to me, or in business, it seems like is really about strategic relationships. And to get those relationships, you need to be able to prove yourself before that. If you're just a nobody, you're not going to get yourself into those relationships in the first place. So you can't be this generic marketing consultant guy, this generic anyone, if you want to network up in that way. So what you need to do is if you can niche down and become the specific guy, you'll appear much more effective, much more successful. And then when it comes time, when you get those opportunities to network with someone who really could take you forward a fucking long way, you have the clout, you have the experience, and you appear so much more successful so that when the opportunities come up, you can jump on them. And a strategic partner, which is kind of what I've done, and that's why I'm in Hong Kong, is that I look and I'm much more successful than I would be otherwise, which gives me the momentum to then network up and scale up and go beyond that.
Right. So you're talking about this concept of clout, like going to a conference without a track record is a wasted ticket.
All right. So I went to Stramco's thing in Sydney. If I was there and I'd never done anything for anyone, I didn't know much about marketing, I was kind of a beginner, it wouldn't have been very effective unless the content was useful.
You are a beginner. You kids move so fast nowadays.
but when I get to the conference, actually, I didn't even think about this before I went. I wanted to get to meet people, right? But when I went there, I realized, and this made perfect sense, because I've done work for people in Stramco's audience, and some of them happened to be at the conference. And so what I already had was some relationships with people that had been established beforehand that I could then... I just get to know them. It enhanced the conference experience, and I got to know them better. They got to know me better. It made them look better in my eyes, and it made me look better in their eyes. So part of it's a positioning thing.
So conferences, now you're racking them up. You're going to Bangkok in October for sure.
Yeah.
You're going to Simon Black's thing.
Yeah. How
do you approach these things when you get there?
It's when I get there. Well, I think about it when I thought about going to this one in Sydney. I love what Stramco does. I'm not fussed about his content. It's just not it's not what I do. So I'm not worried about that. But I wanted to go just to meet the people. And like I said, I 100% glad I
cheap.
spent.
It's $1,000.
No, it's not. Right. But that's the perfect thing. A lot of people say that's too expensive.
Right.
I'm thinking, and this mindset has only happened the last year or so, that if I'm spending $1,000, yeah, that's expensive. But it also means that anyone who's not willing to spend $1,000, anyone who's not a baller, basically, isn't going to go. So that ticket price is one really effective way to exclude people who aren't serious.
Absolutely.
So that to me says, hell yeah, I'm going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is your big plan now? What are your goals? How do you think about it? I mean, take me back to... So the people on this podcast, let's see, number 17.
Yep.
People could go to iTunes right now and download and listen to the John McIntyre of 1 year previously. How much can change in a year? I mean,
I think I'm a bit better at podcasting now after a few episodes, bit of practice.
You might have been terrified back then.
I think I was a bit nervous at that time. Now I enjoy it, man. It's fun.
So tell me, that was a fun episode.
It was good.
That was cool. One of the things I loved about, you want to talk about how when you focus, how much easier it is to get traction. I mean, everybody's always sending back and forth BS emails about, do you want to meet up about this? You want to do a thing about this? You actually just stepped up and did an autoresponder for us. And then that autoresponder had some success. And it's not like it was the Mona Lisa or anything. It was just it was just something meaningful. And it took you a long time to do, right? I mean, you have to sit down and work at least a full day on this stuff.
Yep.
And that's no joke. That's a big deal. And then so I love this. It's this combo of halfway work, halfway talk about it. That's the hustle.
Yeah.
If you just work, you're a martyr. If you just
Right.
talk, you're a charlatan.
Right.
And if you do half work and half talk, then you're sitting in a room here in Hong Kong talking into a
Absolutely.
microphone. What did you think was going to happen? Where do you think you would be at a year ago today?
I
You're at a resort on a remote island in the Philippines. Now you're jet setting around.
don't know, man. It's funny when I think about it. Like when I was back then, I didn't think I'd be in Hong Kong. Part of me when I was leaving the Philippines, I was just getting started with the copywriting thing, and I wasn't fully confident in what I could do. I wasn't fully cognizant of the value that I was able to provide to people, which is a really interesting thing. 'Cause I think a lot of people can provide more value than they think. That's a different topic. So I think at first I was a bit nervous, but as I got more confident, I've tried to do stuff. I've tried to, I'm far from
You
perfect.
tossed stuff out there. You started doing the daily video blogging.
Yeah, just trying
That was
stuff,
great.
man. Yeah, just like, to me, I've tried to focus on, like, here's another thing. We were talking about this earlier today. When I look at the most successful people, the number one thing they have in common is they're all executors. They're phenomenal at just getting shit done. They don't screw around. They don't mess around. They don't talk about stuff too much.
Yeah.
They're often really lazy. They don't even work that much. But when they do work,
I'm feeling a little embarrassed.
execute. It's good to be lazy, man.
All right. Let's talk to John McIntyre then 2 years ago. Because you wrote me an email the other day that was fantastic. I was looking at it for my book the other day. In fact, you were saying, look, if I were going to go back to somebody who's sitting in a job back in Sydney, and I want to tell them how to make this lifestyle a possibility.
Yeah.
Remember that email where you were saying, like, I would tell them to get rid of the job, move out to Chiang Mai. Remember that whole thing?
2 years ago?
Well, no, talk to yourself 2 years ago.
If I was to send that
When I
email
talked
to
to you,
them.
you worked at an SEO firm,
I did.
and you didn't like the job because you were dreaming of
I was
your
wasting time listening to your podcast.
your
man.
trek in Nepal. Yeah. And I feel the same way, man, because I look at guys like you and Ben, and I think, man, I was sitting in a job,
Right.
dreaming about my journeys and thinking, like, that adventure could be my life. Well, it couldn't be, because there's no such thing as the 4-hour work week. There's no such thing as
Right.
all these people that are doing it now. And now you were just telling me in Chiang Mai, there's an incredible group of people doing this.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing that will change it, what changed it for me, and I think will change it for everyone else, is that, like, if you're stuck in a job, if you're stuck somewhere and you don't think this thing is real, go and meet people and figure it out. Like, go and meet someone. This is what I would tell me from 2 years ago, is go and meet people who are already doing it. Because when you see that, it becomes less of a what if. Like, what if this was possible? And more of it, yeah, it is fucking possible. You just got to sit down and do it. It's not a big deal. Because it's kind of like, that's what when I'm in Hong Kong right now, and it doesn't feel like a big deal. A year ago, it would have, and that's why it didn't happen. As long as something feels like it's a big deal, it's probably
Right.
not going to happen. So you got to get to a point where it's just a normal, where it feels like a normal thing, and that's not something you can just work some magic in your head. You got to
Right.
meet people who are doing it, and when you see how normal and just average they are, like, right.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm at
you
that
really,
Andrews cat. He's the most average dude. It's true. I did the same thing with people that I looked up to, and you were giving a great speech about going to some of these high-end networking things you were at,
Yeah.
and you're like, you can see it. It's
They're
real.
just normal people. Yeah, it's real, and I mean, that's the crazy thing is they're not. Most of them are really fucking lazy. They're really lazy,
Looking
but
for
they're really
shortcuts.
good at they're looking for shortcuts, which is why they make a lot of money because they're so lazy. They innovate ways to make money without having to be there all the time.
You're not lazy.
I try not to be.
But I love what you talk about. All of this boils down to execution.
Absolutely.
And maybe we could even loop this back to the beginning point, which is, yes, it's more effective to occupy a small piece of real estate when it comes to trust and attention. Say, become the autoresponder guy rather than the marketing consultant. It's also easier to execute on that.
Yes.
So it's like, all I got to do is write an autoresponder every single day. And maybe I just sell autoresponder, whatever. Like, just, I love this idea. I mean, I've tooled around and called it Axon Jackson, and you were doing it with your video blogs. You're like, you know what? I'm not going to have the best blog, but I'm going to have a blog every single day. It's going to be there, and that's what it's going to be, because that's what I can ship.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's like, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to put it out every single day.
Yeah.
And I do think it's those people that find success that manage to get themselves into a high output mode, whatever mindset they have to put themselves in to do it. Yeah. Having some focus can get you there.
Yeah.
But then when you go to these events, you have something to report on.
Absolutely.
It sucks to tell people that you have 2 clients and you're a marketing consultant, because then what have you done?
Yeah.
Who wants to talk to that guy? People want to talk to the autoresponder guy.
Exactly.
All right, buddy. Well, we got a dinner date, and you got to put out your podcast your own. So appreciate you coming for the follow-up.
I love being here, man.
Pleasure being on Tropical Talk Radio. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Don't be shy. We've got a mailing list. Check it out at tropicalmba.com. Get yourself signed up, and we'll keep you up to date on everything we do, plus give you those 50 free podcast episodes. If you want to say, hey, check me out on Twitter at tropicalmba. We'll see you soon.